Have you ever woken up from a dream and felt how strangely familiar it was? As if you had been thinking about it for a very long time, just never out loud. Libra often lives in the space between balance, between what feels right to say and what feels safer to hold back, between your true inner desires and the sense of calm you create for others. During the day, you smile, you listen, you adjust. But when night falls, the mind no longer has to play a role. The quiet thoughts begin to find their way through, gently through dreams. And maybe those recent dreams did not come to confuse you. Maybe they came to remind you to listen to what you have been silent about for too long. Let us begin with the quiet space inside Libra. Libra is very good at making everything look fine. You walk into a room with just the right smile, just the right words, a presence that never makes anyone uncomfortable. You listen more than you speak. You observe carefully before you express anything. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you are always weighing whether it truly needs to be said. Over time, that careful weighing becomes a habit. You grow used to keeping the peace on the outside, used to being the mediator, the one who softens the atmosphere, the one who stands in the middle so things do not tip too far in any direction. But very few people realize that behind that calm exterior, Libra often carries a rich inner world, layered, complex, filled with questions that have never been named. There are thoughts that rise very clearly within you, only to be quietly put away. Not because they lack importance, but because you fear that speaking them aloud might shift the balance. You worry about hurting someone. You worry about disrupting the harmony you have worked so hard to preserve. And so, you choose silence, not a cold silence, but a gentle one, a polite silence, a graceful silence, a very Libra kind of silence. Days pass, and you continue to play your role. You manage your responsibilities. You maintain relationships. You show up at the right moments. You step back at the right time. But there are moments, usually when everything has gone quiet, when no one needs you to be anything at all, that you realize there is still so much inside you that has never been touched. The silence within Libra is not empty. It is full of emotions that have not yet found names, questions that have not yet found answers, and desires that have not yet felt safe enough to be admitted. It is the place where you wonder whether you are living in alignment with what you truly feel, or simply living in a way that keeps everything around you calm. Perhaps you have spent time sitting alone, doing nothing at all, just looking out a window, not clearly sad, not fully content either, just a vague feeling, as if something is waiting to be heard. And then you stand up, return to your day, leaving those thoughts quietly behind. Libra rarely allows themselves to feel undone. You prefer order. You like things neat, structured, even emotions. But emotions do not always follow structure. Some things cannot be neatly arranged. They cannot be explained by logic. They cannot be handled quickly like a reasonable decision. And when there is no space for them in waking life, they find a way to remain in silence. That silence is not your enemy. It is simply where the most honest parts of you are resting. It reminds you that you are human, not just a bridge for others, not just the one who keeps everything balanced. Within Libra's calm presence, there is always a heart that needs to be heard. First, by you. And perhaps the first step is not speaking, not changing anything. It may simply be acknowledging that this silence exists, that it carries its own meaning, and that you are not wrong for having these quiet thoughts. From there, everything begins to find its own rhythm, very gently, very slowly. In a way that feels deeply, naturally Libra, there is something quietly fascinating about the human mind, especially for Libra. What you are not yet ready to face while awake rarely disappears completely. It does not demand attention. It does not interrupt your daytime life. It simply steps back, waiting for another moment to return, softer, more discreet. During the day, Libra lives in the world of reason and careful consideration. You choose your words. You choose your tone. You keep everything measured, balanced, just enough. There are emotions you feel very clearly, yet you are not quite ready to sit with them. Not because you are weak, but because you understand the weight of acknowledging them. And so, you place them gently aside, telling yourself there will be a better time. But the mind does not work on a schedule. It does not forget what you have set aside. It simply looks for a different space, one where no role needs to be played. When you drift into sleep, when awareness softens, when no one needs you to balance or adjust anything, those quiet thoughts finally find their way into the light, in a language of their own. Dreams are not loud stages. They are more like a private room where you can sit without being watched. There is no right or wrong there, no should or should not. Only images, sensations, fragments of stories that appear and fade without asking for immediate explanation. For Libra, dreams often carry a very gentle tone, not intense, not dramatic. They resemble scattered pieces of inner life, a familiar face without clear features, a road once traveled with no memory of the destination, a conversation that never quite finishes. Everything carries a quiet sense of recognition, as if it has lived within you for a long time. You may wake up wondering why you dream that way. That you may not understand the meaning or be certain what it connects to. Yet the feeling that lingers is unmistakably real, a subtle restlessness, a gentle stillness, something that stays with you, causing you to reflect a little longer than usual that day. This does not mean your dreams are trying to lead you somewhere. They are not asking you to change anything right away. For Libra, dreams are simply a place where the mind is allowed to relax, to express what you were not ready to name in daylight. They do not push, they do not rush, they only reflect. Some emotions need time to be understood. Some thoughts can surface only when there is no pressure to decide. Dreams create a soft buffer between you and yourself. There, you do not need to choose sides. You do not need to weigh outcomes. You only need to feel. And perhaps, the reason these quiet thoughts find their way into dreams is not because you are avoiding them, but because you are protecting your sense of balance in the best way you know how. The mind understands that you need a space that is safer, slower, and quieter to touch what lies deeper within. When you see dreams as a gentle conversation with yourself, Libra does not need to worry or analyze too much. It is enough to know that something within you is seeking to be heard, and that it chooses to appear in sleep may simply be because that is where you allow yourself to be the most honest. After those quiet thoughts find their own path through sleep, something begins to appear, very gently, very slowly. Dreams do not arrive to predict anything, and they do not come to lead the way. They simply reflect quietly. Like a mirror placed somewhere you do not often look, without judgment, without explanation, showing you only what already exists. For Libra, that mirror is rarely clear at first. It does not tell you directly what you are missing or how you should change. It only evokes a feeling, a sense of imbalance, a subtle shift, small, yet lasting long enough to create exhaustion. It may appear in a relationship where you have worked too hard to keep the peace. It may surface in a decision you have delayed out of fear of disappointing someone. Or it may simply feel like depletion from always placing your own needs at the very end. Dreams do not reflect through words, but through images. A familiar scene, yet incomplete. A journey without a clear destination. An encounter that never reaches closure. These details do not ask you to understand them right away. They remained just long enough for you to sense that something within is asking to be gently rebalanced. Libra is naturally sensitive to imbalance, yet often directs that sensitivity outward. You notice quickly when others are not well, when tension rises, when things threaten to go too far. But sometimes you forget to turn that mirror toward yourself. Dreams do that for you, quietly, without force, not to blame, not to warn, only to remind you that you are also part of the equation, that true harmony does not come only from making others comfortable, but also from living in alignment with what you feel inside. When this balance has been off for too long, the inner world will find a way to speak, and dreams become the most fitting language. Yes, you may dream of standing between two choices, yet moving toward neither. You may see yourself trying to speak, but no one hears you clearly. Or you may simply observe, silently, as everything unfolds. These images do not ask you to act immediately upon waking. They invite you to pause, to slow down just a little, and to ask yourself what you are truly feeling. Dreams function as mirrors because they do not distort, they do not exaggerate, and they do not conceal. They reflect what has been there for a long time. Hesitation, fatigue, a longing for peace without having to try so hard. When you look at this with gentleness, without judgment, You may realize you have been carrying these feelings for quite some time. And perhaps what dreams are offering is not an answer, but a pause. A pause long enough for you to stop chasing the need to please everyone. Long enough to acknowledge that balance must also include you, that listening to your inner world is not selfish, and allowing yourself to rest is not wrong. When Libra begins to see dreams as mirrors rather than signs, confusion softens. What remains is a gentle reminder, deeply human, that life does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be honest enough for you to not lose yourself while trying to keep the world around you in balance. If there is one thing your inner world may be whispering to Libra right now, it is probably not a strong piece of advice, and not a clear direction. It feels more like a very gentle touch, just enough for you to notice without startling you. A reminder that you do not need to rush. Libra is used to standing in the middle. You are used to seeing every side, weighing every angle, trying to make sure no one gets hurt. So, when you face important choices, you often feel the pressure to make the right decision for everyone involved. But what few people ever tell you is that life does not always require an immediate answer. This gentle message does not ask you to choose a side, and it does not tell you to let go of anything. It simply reminds you that there are seasons when choosing nothing at all is also a choice to pause, a necessary rest so you do not decide from exhaustion. You may be used to telling yourself that you are fine, used to maintaining calm even when there are parts inside that have not yet been soothed. But calm does not always mean peace. Sometimes, it is just a layer you wear so you can keep moving forward without having to face what you truly feel. This message does not say that you are wrong. It only reminds you that you do not need to be strong all day long. You do not need to be okay just to put others at ease. There are moments when allowing yourself to admit uncertainty is an act of real courage, not to complain, but to be honest. Clarity does not come from forcing yourself to understand everything right away. It often arrives after you have given yourself enough time to feel, when you stop trying to organize emotions through logic, when you stop asking what is reasonable or what the correct move should be, and instead, you simply listen to how you actually feel without rushing to label it. Libra often places the needs of others first, out of fear that prioritizing yourself might disrupt the balance. But this message reminds you that true balance is not the sacrifice of one side. It is a state where both the outer world and your inner world are respected. You may be in a phase that feels unclear. Nothing is wrong, yet nothing feels fully settled either. You do not know whether to move forward or pause, to continue or to change direction. And that is not something to blame yourself for. Not every journey needs a clearly marked path. This message does not promise that everything will be okay right away. It only suggests that you give yourself more space to think without reaching conclusions, space to feel without needing explanations, space to be alone without guilt. When you stop forcing yourself to figure everything out immediately, you may notice that relief arrives naturally, not loudly, not suddenly. Just the sense that you no longer need to hold everything in place. You allow yourself to be who you are, including the hesitation and the vulnerability. And perhaps it is within that space that clarity slowly begins to form, not as a final answer, but as an inner knowing, a feeling that you are moving at the right pace for you, that you do not need to move faster, and you do not need to stay still for too long, only to take the next step when you are truly ready in a way that feels uniquely and deeply Libra. There is a very subtle moment that not everyone notices. It is the moment when you stop trying to solve a dream like a puzzle and begin to listen to it as a feeling. And in that moment, what happens is not that you discover a new answer, but that you realize you have been carrying the answer for a long time already. Libra often trusts reason more than intuition. You are used to weighing, comparing, placing everything on the scale to determine what the most reasonable choice might be. Because of that, the sensations that rise from within are sometimes dismissed, not because they are wrong, but because they are not clear enough to be explained in words. And you have grown accustomed to trusting only what you can justify. But when you begin to observe your dreams with a more open presence, without searching for specific meanings, without trying to label them, something very gentle reveals itself. The feeling within the dream is more familiar than you realize. It resembles the feeling you once had when standing before an important decision. It mirrors the hesitation you tried to hide. It echoes a desire you once told yourself was not the right time. Understanding a dream is not about understanding every detail. It is about recognizing the emotional state the dream leaves behind. You may not remember the images clearly, but you remember the feeling, a sense of lightness, a quiet unease, or an empty space that is difficult to name. And that feeling is something you have experienced in waking life as well. Only you did not allow yourself to trust it then. Libra often waits until everything feels clear before taking action. But some things in life never become clear in the way reason expects. They are only clear enough to be felt. And dreams are the place where you are allowed to feel without needing proof. When you begin to believe that your inner sensations have value, your dreams no longer feel foreign. They begin to feel like a familiar whisper, not a command, not a push. Just a reminder that you already know what you need, and that perhaps, before now, you were not ready to listen to yourself. You may have doubted your intuition out of fear of being wrong. Fear that trusting it might disappoint someone. Fear that such a choice could disrupt the balance you work so hard to maintain. But understanding dreams is also understanding that you cannot preserve outer harmony by neglecting inner peace for too long. The peace you deserve does not come from always being right, and it does not come from always pleasing others. It comes from the moment you stop betraying yourself, from allowing yourself to believe that what you feel has a reason to exist, even if you cannot yet name it clearly. When Libra begins to trust intuition, you do not become extreme, and you do not become selfish. On the contrary, you become more genuine. You know when to continue and when to pause, not because someone tells you to, but because something within you has settled enough to recognize it. Dreams do not give you new answers. They simply guide you back to what you already knew but were not ready to acknowledge. And when you understand this, a natural sense of relief appears, not because everything is resolved, but because you are no longer at war with yourself. To understand dreams is also to understand that you do not need to trade your peace for balance. You do not need to sacrifice your emotions to be seen as agreeable. You deserve a life where harmony does not exist only on the surface, but is clearly present, deep within you. When those quiet thoughts are finally acknowledged, something very gentle begins to happen. Not loudly, not dramatically, but enough for you to feel it. The mind no longer has to search for indirect ways to speak. Dreams slowly soften as well, not because everything has been resolved, but because you have allowed yourself to listen. Libra does not need to do anything grand to return to a natural state of balance. You do not need to change who you are, and you do not need to prove that you have understood something. Balance has always lived within you. At times, it was simply obscured by roles, by expectations, and by the effort to keep everything calm. When you stop trying to explain yourself to others, you begin to notice how much lighter you feel. Not everyone needs to understand you. Not every emotion needs an explanation. Some things only need to be felt and then allowed to exist as a natural part of who you are. Moving more slowly does not mean falling behind. For Libra, it is a way of returning to your own rhythm, a rhythm where you do not rush decisions, where you no longer ask yourself, who needs to be pleased? You simply slow down enough to notice what is draining you and what brings relief. Living more honestly does not mean saying everything out loud. It simply means no longer denying your own feelings. When you feel sad, you do not need to appear fine. When you feel uncertain, you do not need to force clarity. Honesty with emotion does not weaken you. It eases the exhaustion of constantly performing. Libra has a beautiful ability to create harmony in the world around you. But that harmony is only complete when it begins within. When you allow yourself to be who you truly are, not the most agreeable version, but the most genuine one, everything around you softens as well. Your life may still feel unclear. You may still be standing between choices, between relationships, between transitions. And that is okay. Natural balance is not the absence of imperfection. It is the moment you stop resisting yourself while living. When you believe that you deserve inner peace, there is no longer a need to trade. No trading rest for appearances. No trading feelings for harmony. You begin choosing what fits you, even if it does not satisfy everyone. Dreams no longer serve as a place to store what has been suppressed. They become a space of rest, a reflection of calm slowly taking shape. Not always clear, but enough to feel that you are moving in the right direction. And if there is anything to carry with you as this video comes to an end, It may be just a gentle reminder. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to become someone else. You only need to live at your own pace, a little slower, a little more honestly, and a little more kindly toward yourself. That is how Libra returns to its natural harmony, not through effort, but through permission, not through change, but by no longer resisting what has always lived within you.